This is the webinar for Geeta Ji's birth anniversary. So if that's where you want to be, you're in the right webinar. You don't see anything because we've still not started our video. You're not hearing anything because I was not speaking until now. We'll wait for a few minutes. Yes, those who are entering, I welcome you today where we have gathered to celebrate our dear Geeta Ji. We are waiting for a few minutes. People are still joining in. We are going to wait for a couple of minutes. There's incoming traffic. So please let's wait for a couple of minutes. The attendees are probably thinking there's nothing happening, but as panelists, let me tell you that people are still joining in. The numbers are still ticking, so I'll wait for a couple of minutes. You should be able to see now. You should be able to see me from, I'm Abhijata. You should be able to see me. If you can't see anything, maybe you should check your internet connection. You all will be on mute by default. Yes, we have gathered here today to remember Geeta ji, to think about her, to feel her again. So yes, we will not be able to see each other. Each one will not be able to see the other, that is. Since this is a webinar, you will be seeing what the host shows. This session is recorded. I think you would have received the link of the recording already in your last reminder. There are over 2,500 people that are joining in this celebration today. It's like those days, no, when after the therapy class, the pranayama class is going to begin and you're waiting in line in the staircase. So it's a similar thing happening. The attendees are still coming in. We've crossed 2,000, the numbers are still ticking. If you don't like this waiting, you can be in Adho Mukha Virasana. Those who have registered for this event, you will have access to this session for a few days after this. I request the admin to please send a message towards the end of this session as to for how many days this event would be available online. There are some messages coming in that the recording link has not been received in the reminder. If that's the case, then maybe the admin can just put it in the chat window. But wait, don't put it now because people will keep typing in messages and then your message will get lost. So you put in the link to the recording 15 minutes later. Okay, some people say they've got the link. So those who haven't received, please check again. Okay, thank you, thank you. So the link to the recording has been sent. So please read through the entire mail again. Okay. All right. I welcome you all once again. We will commence this program, though people are still ticking in. It's 7 minutes past the scheduled start time. Okay, they're asking me to wait just another minute. So there are close to 3,000 people who registered for this event. It's an emotional day for all of us. So, what better way to celebrate this than to relive our dear Geeta ji? I welcome you all. We will start now. Geeta Periyamma, Geeta ji, Geeta Tai, Geeta Bai, Geeta Ben, Geeta. We know her with these names. We still miss her. We wish she was still here with us. You know, on December on December 7th, 2018, during Yoganushasanam, I asked her on behalf of all of us. I asked her, Geeta ji, do you know that we love you? Today, December 7th, 2020, I want to reiterate the same thing. Nothing has changed, but still, everything has changed. Almost 2 years have gone by. Not a day goes by, Geeta ji, without thinking about you. Today we've gathered here. We are here together to collectively remember, to reminisce together her greatness, her power, her tenacity, her character, her commitment, her dedication, her love, her honesty, her persistence. It goes on.
You heard we are going to do a class that she taught 14 years ago. Is there anything uniquely special about this class? Not really. It's just a class that has been randomly picked up. And its speciality is that, like every other class that she taught for 58 years, this class is also unique. This class is also special. Sitting in this very yoga hall, where many of us have spent hours, we have spent years under her guidance, under her. Many scenes flash by, memories fill my head. And these memory threads, each one is fighting against the other to be the one to come out today. Well, it also brings to my mind something that happened many years ago. I was just fresh into college, and I had this new zest for life and living. And I had put yoga in my list of proper living. And I was here, somewhere there behind, doing a class conducted by Geeta ji. Somewhere midway in the class, Geeta ji had given a list of, she'd given some instructions on what had to be done, who should be doing something, how, who should not be doing something, and what are the adaptations and all that. And there was one person somewhere there who didn't follow what she said, who didn't obey her. Geeta ji had given really specific instructions, and this person disobeyed her. Geeta ji was extremely upset. Now, many people in this webinar could relate to what I'm saying. You might have been an audience to many such similar episodes. The situation was a very heated one. There are various traits that we associate with Geeta ji. She was selfless, she was strong, she was honest, she was straight, and she was also known for her temper. Her temper that, she's lost so often. The walls probably still hold those vibrations of her lost temper. She used to scold. Okay. But I feel that somewhere we should have a footnote in our minds as to what this scolding was about. What is scolding? Are scolding and shouting the same? I wonder. Are they the same? Scolding, when does it happen? It happens in an attempt to make the other person do something better. That's not shouting. Shouting and bullying are completely different. Shouting, bullying, etc., these are done to assert one's beliefs. It has nothing to do with the other person. It's a self-centric event. Whereas Geeta ji, being so involved, she wanted us to learn, she wanted us to, get what Guruji gave us. And she expressed that in many, many, many ways. And, some ways many of us did not find palatable. But let us ask ourselves a simple question. Looking back, what would you have preferred? An inert teacher or an involved teacher? And our Geeta ji was never inert. That day too, Geeta ji lost her temper. I made eye signals, I made gestures to her from there, I was trying to tell her to stop, enough. She probably did not even register that. On one hand, I was getting irritated. On the other hand, I was getting nervous as to what's going to happen. How is the other person going to take it? I was extremely frustrated that Geeta ji did not understand this modern age, the 21st century. I wanted to protect her. So I kept gesturing. I wanted her to behave in a more polished manner. I wanted her to control her thoughts. I thought if only she could learn to control her emotions, if only she could learn to neglect people. If only she could learn to be inert. And the main reason Geeta ji was extremely angry was because this person was not honest to herself, not about disobeying Geeta ji, but about being untrue to her own self. And Geeta ji couldn't understand how can someone be dishonest with oneself. And she wanted everybody in the class to understand that day. Being honest to oneself, according to her, is the most primate, is the innate human dharma which each human being should possess. So you can imagine what effect, my 21st century etiquette would have on her. I tried convincing her how the modern era works later that day, how she should learn to edit what she says, not be so direct. And Geeta ji did not even understand what my problem was. She said the student had come to her class willingly and she had to give her honestly. She had to teach yoga and she had to be honest in that. So it was her duty to help her. When I told her that she should just learn to end these episodes, by just getting on with the class, she thought I was joking because according to her, I was teaching her to lie. I was teaching her to cheat, to let down a student who was on the path of yoga. When Patanjali speaks of Hetu, Phala, Ashraya, let us understand that what one's intention is a vital component of an act. So bullying is just imposing one's ideas on another person to make him or her follow you. It's very different from supporting. It's very different from making someone go forward. When I learned Shirshasana drop back in this very hall, apparently when she was scolding me, who benefited? Was it me or was it her? Today, it looks like it seems so silly of me to, go home that day. I cried that she scolded me in front of everyone. I bore a grudge against her for a couple of days for scolding me in front of everyone like that. So who scolds? One who's related scolds. So scolding has that pain, has that agony in that person. Her scolding and agony was out of her pain that I was not putting in something in my Shirshasana drop back. So relation and association are completely different. She was in a relationship with us. She was not just associated with us. That's the difference. That's the big difference. She gave us even when she could no longer give to herself. That was the illogical involvement she had as a yoga teacher. Today, we are here to redo a class she gave us years ago because, come on, there can be no one else like her. Let's begin. We go back to November 3, 2006. Settle down, all of you. Settle down on your mats. Sit straight. Keep your back erect and maintain your spine properly. Keep your shoulders back, shoulder blades into the body. Keep your head straight, neck straight. Throat passive, tongue passive. Relax your jaw, relax your throat. Fold the palms in front of your chest and stabilize yourself. Be in Namaskar Mudra. Close your eyes completely. A slow, soft, smooth inhalation. A slow, soft, smooth exhalation. With an exhalation, first pacify the whole body from the crown of the head down towards the trunk, where the muscle fibers should not feel any hardness. But again, at the same time, you have to watch that with the exhalation, the body doesn't get dropped. Pacify your mind, withdrawing that mind from the brain in such a way that your attention, your awareness flows towards your chest. A slow, soft inhalation following the exhalations, where you find space in the center of your chest, between the two lungs near the heart region. A slow, soft inhalation where you find the right side and left side of your chest separating from each other. An exhalation calming down the brain, bringing that mind down towards the trunk and perhaps reaching towards the navel. Your inhalations, exhalations, you have to use in such a manner that they are vehicles to travel between the brain and the body, body and the brain. Uprightness of the spine and coolness of the brain. Calming that mind, see that it gets charged with a strong inner feeling as you're going to proceed to the practice of yoga. That word dedication, we use very often. We use it through our mouth, but it doesn't come from the heart. And therefore, you have to bring your mental stature in such a manner that you find this inner dedication. Remain calm and quiet as you're going to offer the prayers to Lord Patanjali. Let that devotion remain well set inside. Let us invoke, let us recite the prayers to Patanjali together. योगेन चित्तस्य पदेन वाचां मलं शरीरस्य च वैद्यकेन योपाकरोत्तं प्रवरं मुनीनां पतञ्जलिं प्राञ्जलिरानतोऽस्मि आबाहुपुरुषाकारं शङ्खचक्रासिधारिणं सहस्रशिरसं श्वेतं प्रणमामि पतञ्जलिं हरिः ओम्. Bow your head down to your heart. Release your palms down. Raise your head up and open your eyes. Adho Mukha Virasana. Adho Mukha Virasana. Those of you who are not well will not be doing the standing poses. Go for supine postures. Those who are in periods, don't do the standing poses. You can go for forward bending asanas. Be in Adho Mukha Virasana. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Palms forward. Take your legs back. If you're not able to hear me, you'll have to check the volume at your end, the speaker volume at your end. Uttanasana. Spread the legs apart. Take your arms by the sides of the feet and head down. Legs apart, arms apart by the sides of your feet and head down. Then come up, stand up straight. Now we're going to go for the standing poses. Those who need the wall, go to the wall. If you have a wall, you have a grill, Pressler, take supports, especially those who have complaints like arthritis, tinnitus. Face the camera, all of you. Keep your mats available for standing poses. Stand erect, all of you. Stand erect. Tadasana. Join your feet properly, join your toes. Be on the center of your mat as you have to do the standing poses. Shoulders back, shoulder blades in. Raise your sternum chest upward. As the sternum goes upward, roll the shoulders, trapezium back downwards. Extend the arm downwards. Bring the contraction near the outer shoulder blade, take them slightly inside. Outer shoulder blades towards the inner shoulder blades, so you stand erect. Be on the center of the mat. The bottom of the feet well open from the heels to the toes. Keep your shoulders rolling back. I said move the shoulder blades, the outer shoulder blades towards the inner shoulder blade. And both the shoulder blades suck into the body so that they support your chest. Now, first of all, remember that if you have problem, neck pain, shoulder pain in Shirshasana, then you're worried. But then that correction cannot come in Shirshasana. It has to happen in the other postures. In the standing poses itself, you have to start correcting those areas. Work on the shoulder blades. The outer shoulders, the extreme outer corners, roll them back. Roll them back. Inner knees, inner thighs, straight. Utthita Trikonasana. Hands near your chest, jump, spread legs apart. Widen the legs properly. See that proper distance is maintained between the legs. You have to spread the legs in such a manner that the buttock region near the tailbone spreads away from the center. So from the tailbone, right side, left side, the buttock, they have to widen to either side. The distance has to be created over there. And lift from the lower abdomen upwards. From the lower abdomen, be tall. Now turn your right leg out and left foot in. Right leg completely out, left foot in. If necessary, take that left leg further back in order to have the spreading action of the buttock region. Then exhale, take your right arm down. Take your right arm down on the right ankle. Top arm straight up. Your shoulders back, shoulder blades in. The trapezium will open and all of you have to attend to your pelvic region. Keeping both the knees firm, turn from the right pelvic to the left pelvic. Left thigh, rotate upward. Tuck that right buttock in. Maintain the firmness in the buttock region. It has to come inside, but the length has to be maintained. If the left buttock is going upward, you have to move that left leg further away. So spread it out. Let that left buttock find the proper length. So back leg, take it away. Take it away. Walk back with the back leg. Increase the distance. Walk away. Walk away. Yes. Now do it. Find out now what kind of movement comes over there. Though standing there will be a little difficult with this distance, you have to learn to move in such a manner. It has to come. So much widening has to be there. Inner edges of the left thigh, you have to lift properly, front as well as the back. Shoulder blade, trapezium, backwards. Tuck the shoulder blade into the body. Now, take your top arm towards the left buttock. Top arm along the buttock, so that it is almost parallel to the trunk, and extend the arm away from the shoulder bone back. See that you're aligning yourself with that buttock region. Shoulder bone back, shoulder blades in, trapezius back, clear that area. Between the shoulder and the neck, clear that area. Don't look up. Look forward straight and elongate that shoulder bone. Left shoulder bone away so that length is maintained. After maintaining the length, if you have to turn, see that in the turning process, you don't shorten the neck. Lengthen the sides of the neck to turn the head. Don't shorten. And move that left arm more towards the left fingertips. Trapezius back. Maintain that firmness. Maintain that firmness of extension. Watch that buttock region. Now inhale and come up. On the other side. Right foot in. Left leg completely out. Turn the left leg completely out. Come on, exhale, go down, take your left arm down. Top arm straight up. If that outer pelvic, if the right outer pelvic is going up towards the ceiling, you have to take that right leg further out. घ्या तसं तो हा मागचा पाय घ्या तसं आणि आता वळवा छाती वळवा कंबर खूप एवढं अंतर नाही घ्यायचं की आपलं बॅलन्सच जाईल ठरवायला पाहिजे तुम्ही work on that hip region pelvic region so that the lengthening process takes place. The right buttock should not go higher. On the contrary, the waistline has to be up and open up your chest, shoulder bone back. You see what happens, the right leg jams the body upward. You know the leg force will be so much that it jams the body upward. In that case, you have to take that back leg back to not jam that area. You have to find out. Open up your sternum chest. And now top arm along the trunk. Back ribs deeper into the body. Top arm along the trunk. You forgot. See, I should remember for you. So are you concentrating or am I concentrating? Turn the palm to face forward. And extend that top arm to the fingertips. As though somebody is standing there and pulling your arm to the fingertips. Who asked you to forget the buttock area? Tuck that left buttock in. Turn the pelvis well. And now how to turn the neck? Without jamming that neck area, shoulder blade area. Maintain that extension to turn the neck up. Those who want. Those who feel you are shortening the neck, you look in front. Trapezius back. Keep your sternum chest up. Keeping the leg firm. Legs firm. And top arm, don't take it up. Along the trunk. Bring that top arm down. Cut it down and extend it. Back ribs, suck in. And now keeping the leg firm. Inhale and come up. Turn the foot in. Feet together. Now, I indicated in the beginning of the class that some of you should use the wall. Arthritis, tinnitus, I mentioned. Did you go to the wall? You see, for those who are not getting that proper opening of the chest, clavicle, cancer cases where they have to widen that area, but it does not happen. For that, I have given the hand along the sides of the trunk. Only then you can widen that area, roll that shoulder area, understand? Things were so much easier, no, when she was there, because she did all the thinking for us. So much of Guruji's teachings has been deciphered thanks to dear Geeta ji. So when she asked, are you concentrating or am I concentrating? That is such a relevant question. And now, if she's not doing the thinking for us, she's not concentrating for us, what are we doing? Come on, stand in Tadasana, feet together. Keep the abdomen soft. Do not puff the abdomen. Don't puff. Relax the abdomen completely. Abdomen has to be lifted up, yes. Buttocks have to be in, yes. But that does not mean you should puff the abdomen out like that. Now come on. Hands near the chest, bend the knees, jump, spread the legs apart. Soften the abdomen. Even with the legs apart, soften the abdomen. Don't puff. Soften, soften. Right leg out, left foot in. Take your left leg away. Now exhale. Once again, go down to Trikonasana. Keep the left hand along the side of the trunk. Shoulder, shoulder blades, trapezius. Pull on that side so that you're clear near the clavicles. Shoulders clear, clavicles clear. The arm is not just extended. You have to pull that away and open the chest. Chhati khulla karo. Open the sternum chest upward. Open it. Shabash. And extend the arm towards the side of the trunk. Your shoulder bone should go slightly back. That also I showed you in the pranayama class. That shoulder bone, roll it back so that you get that opening over there. And the extreme outer corner, that should not come forward. Clear that neck region, trapezium region. Shirshasana will easily come correctly then. Nape of the neck, bottom neck. The thickness should not be there. The thickness should not be felt in the nape of the neck. Now, how to turn the neck? Bottom skull away from the neck. Taking the bottom skull away from the neck. Turn. Get that good extension there. Left hand to the left side, though it is a tiring process. Inhale and come up. Turn the foot in. Stabilize there. Now take both the arms down. Utthita Padasana, both the arms down like Tadasana. And extend those arms down. Trapezium down. Downward. Arms straight. As though someone is pulling your shoulder back. Rotating the biceps inside out. Abdomen soft, not too tense there. Arms lengthen. Rotate the biceps. Clavicles open. One shoulder is up, one shoulder is down. Move that properly. Now come on. Right leg in, left leg out. Left leg, left knee completely out. On the left side. Ready? Come on. Exhale. Go down to Trikonasana. Go down to Trikonasana on the left side. Those who are unable to straighten the knee, come on, make the knee firm. Right arm along the side of the trunk, trapezius rolling. You have to press that left hand on the ankle in such a manner that your left shoulder bone doesn't go forward. And right arm completely elongate. Lock the elbow joint. Have that rotation. The elbow joint lock in. And move back slightly your head in line with the buttock, with the knees firm. Top arm extend. Come on, head back. At least show some courage to take that head back. Both the extreme outer corners of the shoulder blades. Push in towards the inner shoulder blades. Open up the frontal chest, sternum chest. Then inhale and come up. Turn the foot in. jump, and feet together. Both the arms extend completely downward. The next pose is Virabhadrasana 2. Now, those who can't bend the leg, you have to take something under the foot. Okay, take some brick under the foot if you're unable to bend that leg. Don't say you can't bend the leg, so you need admission in therapy class. It is easy to say, you help me, you bend my knee. You learn to bend your knee. Come on, palms in front of your chest, bring the brick. How can I give the brick to you? You go bring the brick if you want it. Legs apart. On the right side. Ready? Come on. Extend your arms. Grip your knees properly. First, knee straight. Turn that leg out. Be ready. And now take your arms downward on the sides of the trunk as you did for Tadasana. Oda hath khali. Roll the shoulder back, shoulder blade in. Sternum chest. And you have to feel as though someone is pulling your arms downward. Now keep your palms facing front. Palms facing forward. And lengthen them downwards. Maintain that. Don't take the arms too much away. Bring it closer. Bring it closer. Little finger closer. Ready? Come on. Open up your armpit chest and bend your leg. Make a square. Keep your left leg straight for Virabhadrasana 2, where your arms will remain down. Though the leg goes for Virabhadrasana 2, arms remain down. Pull the arm inner edge, inner biceps, inner triceps, closer to the trunk downwards to get that length. Shoulder bones back as though someone is pulling them back. Work in that manner. Trapezium should not go up. Bend the right leg, but weight of the body, shift to the left leg. Be on the left side. Left inner edge of the leg up. Inner thigh up, shin bone firm. Flex that thigh, flex that right thigh. Then inhale and come up. Turn the right foot in and left leg out. Left leg out. Get ready on the left side. Pull the arms down. Pull them down. Come on. Pulling the arms, rotating the shoulder, go. Bring the arms closer. Trapezium also closer. Upper chest. That is what I want. Rotate that armpit chest. Move that shoulder bone back. Bend that leg. Make a square. Back leg straight. Back leg straight. Pull the arms downwards and closer. Nearer to each other in such a manner that you should get those shoulder bones downward, backward. Buttock into the body. Neck straight. Keep the buttock into the body. Flex that thigh. Back leg. Don't forget. Don't forget. Nothing you should forget. That is yoga. Then inhale and come up. Turn the foot in. Jump. Feet together.
Just a minute.
The time I just don't understand when people do the practice. They just want to see that their asanas are coming. Somehow the body should perform the asana. That is the aim. Or wherever the things are going wrong, that has to be corrected. You see, this is the important thing. You cannot tax your body. You understand what I said? This is also you, both of you there, that corner they are standing. Many a time, as she said, that I cannot do Shirshasana, my neck pains. Otherwise, I am perfectly all right. If your shoulder and neck is paining, in Shirshasana, there must be some problem in your shoulder and neck, which you need to correct in some other postures, right? Similarly, if you are a cancer patient, and if that armpit or the chest is not opening, there is no freedom, you need to find out. It's not that how you do it. Your energy, if it's very strong, you might be able to do the asana, but it doesn't work there where it has to work. Isn't it? You might not be a patient. You may not, because that is first another ego. Oh, I am not a patient. Don't treat me as a patient. Only when I am in pain, you just help me. But don't declare me as a patient. That's not the right way. You understand? That's not the right way. Whether you are in general class or in a therapy class, you need to look after yourself to find out whether you are in the right position. Each portion of the body is correctly placed. If any portion of the body is not correctly placed and rebelling there, you should know why it's rebelling. The disease might be hidden there, or already the disease has come up and that is causing the problem. Both ways is possible. You understand what I said? You might not be having shoulder pain, neck pain, but somewhere shortening is there, crookedity is there. Somebody has a disease already, cervical problem, spondylosis problem, whatever it is there. Is it not your duty? Somebody's knee is bending, bulging out. It might not be bothering while doing, but knee is bulging out. So it is already indicating that somewhere the thing is going wrong. Why should it bulge out? Right? If that is not understood in your learning process, nothing can be helped. How can you do this mistake? That I have no knee pain, but I cannot stretch it. I have no problem with the knee, but I cannot bend my knee in square. How can you say that? There must be some problem which is stopping you from bending, which is stopping you from stretching. You have to find out that where the problem is. As long as it's not paining, it's okay. When it pains, oh, it's painful. Don't touch us. It's very much painful. That's not the way. You have to find out yourself. This is what the body knowledge has to come. But all of you, I'm sorry to say that, आप लोग भी खाली आते हैं करने के लिए. You just come because it's open, freedom is given to come, but you don't watch inside that why something is going wrong. You don't even watch how you are standing, how your right leg is bearing the weight, how the left leg is bearing the weight, nothing. If you don't penetrate after so many years also, we cannot help you. The conducting the class in this manner doesn't really help. Let me tell you that. If you show some intelligence in teaching, I also feel, yes, now they are learning something. If that is not coming, what can I do? Then only you know how to, there is medical therapy class, enroll the name there if you have got a problem. If you have no pain, okay, no enrollment required. That's not the understanding, that's not the way. And it's not a question of therapy also, it's not a question of disease. What is the freedom of the body? Again, why the asanas you are doing there? It has to give that freedom, isn't it? The energy has to flow everywhere, isn't it? If it gets blocked in the knee, what's the point? If it's getting blocked in your neck, what's the point? If it's getting blocked in your wrist, what's the point? Might not be a disease, but energy is blocking. The hand is not reaching, the wrist is not opening, fingers are not opening. You have to understand that. There must be some problem, isn't it? Disease, it's not necessary that every disease needs name over there. Because only up to certain degrees when it goes, then they name it. Until that, they don't name the disease. But you can certainly watch that, where what's going wrong.
Come on. Utthita Parshva Konasana. Utthita Parshva Konasana. Hands down, legs apart. Okay, come on, get ready. If you're ready, be there. Jump apart, legs apart. On the right side, get ready. Open the armpit chest. Hands downward, elongate. In this Parshva Hasta Padasana, when you've turned that right leg out, in Parshva Hasta Padasana, extend your arms down. Extend both the arms down. What is Parshva Hasta Padasana is again another question. Be in that position with the arms extended downwards. The kneecap has to go deeper back. Push that kneecap and lift the quadriceps. Okay. Now come on. You're going for Utthita Parshva Konasana. Start. Left inner edge of the thigh, firm. Left inner edge of the thigh, firm. From the front left leg thigh back, front thigh to the back thigh, so the femur bone is in its place. Top arm facing forward. If you're working on the shoulder, top arm, palm facing forward. Roll the shoulder back. Why that thigh comes forward? Take it back. Right buttock in. Move that left shoulder bone back. Left shoulder bone back. Open that area. Why the clavicle is closing? Open up that clavicle. In that position, you have to learn to open up this clavicle. Puff up this area. Puff this area completely like a balloon. Like a balloon being inflated, you have to learn to puff that area. Yes, puff this area. Widen that area. Flex the thigh. Head back. Don't bring the chin unnecessarily forward. Pull that top arm. Extend that top arm. And at the same time, maintain your frontal chest opening. How many of you brought that front shoulder bone forward? See? Look at it. Correct it. It is not rotating. If the hand goes up, you're okay. But here it is showing that it is not okay. Rotation is not coming. Shoulder length is not coming. Inhale and come up. Turn the foot in. Feet together. The other side. Come on, other side. Left leg out. Turn the left leg completely out. Rotate the thigh well. Rotate the thigh well. We are doing on the left side. Ready? Come on. Exhale. Go down. Utthita Parshva Konasana. You're doing on the left side now. Roll the shoulder bone back. Find out the skin, the clavicle, the sternum region. Nothing should become tight. You know, Guruji said that the stiffness he felt for the first time in that sternum bone when it started sinking. He was 73. He said just there he began to feel it. For us, we are already feeling it. Open up that area. Open up the shoulder bone, clavicle. Adjust the head, chin, eye. Open the eyes. Extend that arm. Lower down the right hand. And move the shoulder bone back, head back. You also take the head back. Chin away. Open up the armpit. Inhale and come up. Look here. I'm still not happy. You should learn to move that buttock area inward. Okay. Now imagine there is a teacher there. Come on, show how to support in Parshva Konasana, how to take that buttock in. Come on, start. So when that buttock is coming in, you have to imagine, start. I don't have all the time. Now you have to learn to take, imagine somebody standing behind you and is pushing that buttock in with your knee. Your bent leg knee has to go back thigh has to go back. And imagine somebody's there strongly pushing your buttock in. Come on, one more time, right side. One more time on the right side, all of you. Quickly. Now it's going to be a short attempt on the right side. And panelists, mirror image, please remember. Come on. Exhale, go down. Utthita Parshva Konasana on the right side. Top arm, extend well. Top arm has to be along the trunk. Bend the right leg. Distance. Have proper distance. Bend that leg. And top arm, extend it well. Top arm extended. Why are you taking it up? Back thigh, back knee, shin, everything has to be firm. Right knee back, right buttock into the body. Open up the clavicular area. Open up that area. Puff it well. And now imagine somebody standing there behind you and pushing your buttock in and open up the clavicle area further. Move the buttock, sternum says thank you. Open it like that. Yes, it is difficult, I know, but do it. Do it. Now come up on the other side. On the other side. Come on, left side. Go down. Flex the leg well. If the leg is not bending, I already gave you a clue what to do. Top arm, yes, elongated downwards. And let that top arm be a little close to the trunk. Close to the trunk. And puff up that clavicular area. Ugda. Khulla karo. Sternum also open well. Top hand, turn to face forward. Groin down. And now come on, buttock deep into the body. Suck that buttock into the body and open up your sternum. Open it up. Shoulder blades, what I told you in the beginning. Shoulder blades into the body. Back ribs into the body. Have that bearing on your mind that few seconds I will keep my buttock and shoulder blades into the body. Physically, yes, it is difficult. But mentally have that bearing on your mind. Inhale and come up. That was strong work, wasn't it? Come closer. You know, taking responsibility of our own shoulders, our own shoulder blades, our own body, our own actions, our own responses. Not so easy. It's difficult indeed. When taking responsibility for just a few moments, for a minute, it's so difficult. Imagine taking responsibility on a long-term basis, months, years, all your life. And that's what Geeta ji did. Her sense of responsibility was just too much to be real. Our Parshva Konasana in the class became her Parshva Konasana in the class. From her youth till her last day. She never ever gave second priority to anything other than that. Anything other than bearing the torch, taking forward Guruji's teachings. Even if that meant coming up on a wheelchair in Balewadi to teach at Guruji's 100th birthday event. That was our Geeta ji. Come on, stand up. Virabhadrasana 1. Virabhadrasana 1. Ready? Same way with the hands. Come on, right leg forward, left leg back. Right leg forward, left leg back. Adjust the distance for Virabhadrasana 1. Back leg straight, heel down. The front leg firm, head of the femur bone. Back knee firm. That stretch is important. The right knee, right thigh, pull it up. Push that leg, hold that back leg. Firmness over there. Shoulder bone back. Balance yourself. Now bend your leg, make a square. Arms elongating, downwards. Trapezium roll and find out your own clavicles. One comes, one doesn't come. Come on, adjust all that. In Shirshasana also that only happens. One hand comes closer, one hand doesn't come closer. Open up the armpit chest. Lift the bottom of the sternum upward. Side armpit chest as well as the shoulder bones, they should go back. Keeping the back leg firm. Inhale and come up. On the other side. Virabhadrasana 1 on the other side. Left leg. Shoulder bones back. Open up the sternum chest. Head, chin away from the throat region. So you have to keep it higher up. This is how meditation position has to be. There if I say sit in meditation and adjust your position, you're happy. But what has the Bhagavad Gita said about meditation? Come on, align yourself. Chin, sternum, shoulders, how they have to be. Now exhale and bend your leg. Make a square. Shoulder bones back. Sternum chest upward. Open up the armpits. Arms closer. Don't take the arms far away from you. Arms closer and open up the armpits. Extreme outer corner of the shoulder bone. Go back. Sternum chest up. Coil the armpits. Back ribs deep into the body. And cut the arms closer to each other. Back leg firm. Back leg firm. Then inhale and come up. Feet together. So many people, no? So many people, our Geeta ji has healed. I wonder how she did that. What's the difference? Doctor also heals, yoga teacher also heals. What's that difference between a doctor and a yoga teacher? A doctor can prescribe and a yoga teacher can inject. Oh Geeta ji, the injections that we have received from you, we can never forget. And we better never forget. Sometimes her injections really stung us, didn't they? One day, again, it was in class. She was scolding me for some asana. I don't remember. I even tried hard today morning to think of which asana it was, what was the context. I don't remember. All that I remember is that she really scolded me. I was so upset. It was my first year in Pune, or maybe the second. I was really upset. After that, I bunked the next two classes. I had to show my protest. I had legitimate reasons because I was in college, I had submissions. I even avoided coming in front of her at home. And later I realized, that I found it convenient to avoid her because she made me uncomfortable to face myself. It was easier to avoid her because she was bringing to my own cognizance, she was bringing to my own realization my thought process, who I was, what I thought, how much I wanted to give in, how much I wanted to give. So, in my heart of hearts back then, and even now, I know what I was avoiding. I took the easier route. Be it in any Iyengar yoga session, anywhere in the world, whenever an Iyengar yoga teacher speaks, whenever an Iyengar yoga student receives, whenever an Iyengar yoga practitioner practices, there is something that Gita ji had uttered, something that she had shared, something that she had unraveled. There is in each Iyengar yoga lover in this world the language that our dear Gita ji had conceived. She is within so many of us. And of course, she has picked it up from her father, from dear Guruji. She picked it up from her Guru, our dear Guruji. Guruji from T. Krishnamacharya, who in turn picked it up from Ram Mohan Brahmachari. Gita ji, a brilliant, super active, proactive member of our parampara. We bow down to you, Gita ji. We bow down to you. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Adho Mukha Svanasana, all of you. Dog pose. Palms forward, walk back with your feet. Did you learn something or no? Watch in that Adho Mukha Svanasana. Pressing the palms. How many of you are able to move that armpit length, shoulder length? Pressing the palms, you have to move that armpit, shoulder, in such a way that you feel the skin of the armpit chest opening completely. Where it is closed, find out. Press the palms. Press the palms. You need to take that shoulder blade in completely. Pump. 3-4 times. Pump like that. Come on. 1. Exhale and pump. Open up. See here how much stiffness is there. Press the palms to strongly move that armpit region. Okay. Now inhale and come up. Once again, I'm going to take Virabhadrasana. Okay. Once again, you're all going to do Virabhadrasana on the right side. Ready? Right side, Virabhadrasana. Come on, right leg forward. Okay, first stand in Tadasana. First stand in Tadasana and feet to extend the arms down. Extend both the arms down. Okay, now extend the arms upward and open up the armpit chest. Take the arms up to Urdhvastasana and open up the armpit chest. Now in Adho Mukha Svanasana, I took the arms downward. Now let me take that in the arms upward, palms facing each other. Now see how many of you are having failure in that armpit shoulder blade area. Shoulder, trapezius, let it sit down. Armpit chest has to open. Legs firm. For the elbow, see, look at the elbow. One arm is going out, one elbow is straight, one is bent. Bring that closer and straighten it. Don't shake it at all. See how one quickly comes, one doesn't come. So in Shirshasana also that happens. One hand comes, one hand doesn't come, one arm doesn't come, and then the neck pains. Now take the right leg forward, left leg back, arms like that only. Lock the elbow joint. When the legs do not work, first lock the knees, stretch the knees, lock the elbows. At least the intelligence, let it begin from there. And maintaining the elbows firm, straight, you have to lengthen the upper arms higher upward. When the arms are lengthened upward, shoulder back and trapezium at the back has to descend downward. Descend that area. Now bend your right leg, make a square. See here, exactly I said that. Upper arm level has to be there, understand? Take it back. Upper arm back, elbow joint lock. How many of you are failing there to keep the arms straight? So if I'm in your place, I will try that. Virabhadrasana for the arms, Virabhadrasana for the legs, for the back leg, front leg. So many things are there. So many things are there. Then inhale and come up. Arms down. In one day, it's not going to come. But you have to understand that you're failing there. And unless you take a decision to correct that, nothing will happen. Come on, left side. First, Urdhvastasana. First, Urdhvastasana to lock the elbow. Lock the elbow. Arms straight. Elbows locked. Ready? Come on, left side. Left leg forward, right leg back. Arms up, armpit chest open, trapezius down, and take the upper arms back. Cut the upper arms back. In this position only, learn to take the upper arms back. Take the upper arm behind the ear and lock the elbow. Don't take the palms. Now come on, bend the left leg. Bend the left leg without bending the elbow. Head in its place. Don't take the head forward. Let the head always remain in its place. Otherwise, it will be a big problem for me. To repair everyone's brain is very difficult. So you please keep your head where it is supposed to be. Left leg, bend. Arms exactly in line with the back of the ears. Armpit chest open. Exhale. Go down. This first lesson only is teaching me what I have to take in the third week when we come for back bending. Open up the armpit. There is no freedom in that armpit, in that trapezium area. Without puffing the abdomen, thoracic chest upward, arms back. Don't puff the abdomen. Then inhale and come up. Join your legs, feet together. Feet together. So you understand? I don't plan that first week I will do this, second week I will do this, third week I will open back. Your simple standing is showing what has to be the plan for the whole month. Trikonasana. One more time, Trikonasana. Come on. Hands near the chest, bend your knees, jump, spread the legs apart. Right leg out, left foot in. Spread the legs, spread the buttocks, spread the tailbone area. Spread that tailbone area. Come on, exhale, go down. Trikonasana. Take your right arm on your right ankle. Left arm straight upward. Outer shoulder blade adjust, bring it closer. Don't lift the outer shoulder blade up. Outer shoulder blade region, bring it closer to each other, closer to each other. Roll the trapezium back, sternum open. Chest, armpit. If the palm comes forward a little bit also, that means your shoulder blade and shoulder bone is not in its place, which I taught you when the hands were down. Take it back. Sternum chest upward, but abdomen should not be puffed. Both the clavicles broader. Inhale and come up. On the other side. On the other side. Don't let loose yourself. Nowhere you should let loose yourself. Ready? Exhale. Go down. Utthita Trikonasana on the left side. Top arm straight up. Leg straight. Buttock into the body. Buttock deep into the body. Knees firm. Legs firm. Clavicle open. Head slightly back. If the head comes aggressively forward, the clavicle level, shoulder level, everything goes wrong. So shift the body weight, adjust as far as the upper portion of the body is concerned, and open up that armpit chest. Black dress, blue dress, red dress, yes, all of you. Open up that shoulder bone backwards. Go with that. Open like that. Don't shorten. Trapezium rolling towards the lumbar. Then inhale and come up. Feet together. Come closer. Sit down.
To do like this. You understand? This is not only one person is in front of my eyes. So yesterday I would have not pointed out at this mistake. Now this portion, clavicle, skin has to open. Did I not tell there someone, open the clavicles? Skin open. Did I not say? Someone I said. So this skin has to get broadened because this drops. This is not the dropping of the shoulder, clavicles. I am not keen. If her shoulders are like that, why should I bother? I should not bother. She hasn't said anything. Some people at least told me something. I have to bother about them. That's why I have to shout at them 15 minutes there. Go to the wall, go to the grill. She hasn't said anything, so I need not bother actually. But this is not only closing this, but her mind is dropped. She is doing asanas without her alertness in the mind. Mind is not coming up, not getting elevated when she is doing. This brings the elevation of the mind. Mind has to elevate with it. Get open. How much I might be elevating your mind when I'm teaching. My half of the energy goes in that. My mind has to elevate. Otherwise, why should I bombard like this? You won't have the strength even to bombard like me, understand? You understand? How much you may curse me, but you won't have the strength to bombard like me. Understand that? It's impossible. You will say, why headache? Forget. You understand? I am bombarding with my strength over there because I want this to get transformed. Show me in your classes bombarding like that, whether one day also you will survive. So, you can't survive. I have passed 60, now 62, it doesn't matter to me even if I die. But for all these years, I have bombarded like that.
Parshvakonasana. Parshvakonasana. Widen the legs on the right side. Make a square. Come on, go down. Keep your left leg straight, right knee back, open the groin. Open the groin. Top arm along the trunk. Right inner knee back. Left hand, take it slightly back. Now how to take the left arm up? First take the hand back. Okay, now begin. When you're going to take the arm up over the head, it has to go back and then over. Come on, bend the arm, take it over the head, but arm back and then bring it. Arm back and then bring it. Take it back, don't come forward. Shoulder blades descending, don't hit the wrist that way. Don't hit the wrist that way. Trapezius. Upper arm has to go back. You know why the palms get thrown back? The palm gets thrown back because the upper arm has come forward. Take the upper arm back. Open up the armpit chest. Root of the arm is in your armpit, upper arm, not in your palms. Keep the palm in its place. It's an extreme end of the branch. The trunk should be firm. So keep your armpit chest opening. Open there. It should come over the back of the ear. Then inhale and come up. On the other side. Come on. On the other side, go down to Utthita Parshvakonasana. Ready? Now, how to take the arm over the head? Come on, bend the arm. Begin. Shoulder back. Take it. Taking the arm back, take it behind the head. Slightly back. Upper arm. Search from the upper arm region your back of the ear. Turn that much. The upper arm has to search the back of the ear. Straighten the elbow, straighten the upper arm. So that actually rotation comes to the chest region. It's not upper arm rotation. Let the trunk rotate. If the chest rotates, if the right side chest opens, the right side armpit opens automatically. Then the upper arm will go behind. It's not a big sequence of techniques there. Take the back ribs into the body, buttocks inside. Adjust like that. See how much it has to go, how much it has to happen. Then inhale and come up. Turn the foot in. Jump and feet together. Come closer. She's the chip of the same old block, no? But with a brilliant fragrance of her own. It's too easy to say that she's a chip of the same old block. But that fragrance of her own is unbelievable. We are doing this class, Geeta ji, as a reminder of all those qualities you had. Obviously, it's not all going to come out in this class today, but it's going to come out of the memory storehouse of each of those individuals who's been touched by you, who's been made by you, who's been molded by you, those who've been inspired by you. We are doing this class, Geeta ji, as a reminder of you, as a reminder of your being, your commitment, your responsibility, your stubborn grit, determination to not separate yoga from day-to-day living. Only one word can describe you, Geeta ji. Only one word. And that is Geeta ji. Uttanasana. Legs apart. 1 foot apart. Relax the sides of your trunk, your armpit trunk. Go straight down. Be there. Sit down for Paschimottanasana. Both the legs straight and head down. See whether the weight on both the sides, go down, Paschimottanasana. See whether the weight on both sides is even or uneven. Right side, right buttock, left buttock. How much is this touching? How much is that touching? Which area is sharply cutting the floor? Now inhale and come up. Supta Baddha Konasana. Lie down flat in Supta Baddha Konasana to recover yourself. Just lie on your back, bend your knees. Relax that shoulder bone area. Roll the shoulder bones back ribs into the body. The heels closer to the trunk, widen the knees, widen the groins. Don't puff the abdomen, break that stiffness of the groins. Hit your thighs downwards towards the floor. Go on hitting your thighs down towards the floor. Open up the groin. Hit that. With the hands, they won't go. The legs themselves have to hit down. Open the groin. Yes, push that knee, push that thigh with that pumping action downward. Pump it in order to find out where you're caught, where you're stiff. Now be there. Open the arches of the feet. Inner edges slightly separate, but outer edges closer. So the outer ankles have to descend on the floor, and the inner knees, the inner thighs, they have to go towards the back of the knees, back of the thighs. So the outer edge of the thigh has to be more taken towards the floor. See how many of you have got pelvic stiffness? No practice, no attention is paid to these things. So I was right in the beginning only when I said in Trikonasana that the pelvic area was caught. Be there quiet now. Upavishta Konasana. Come up. Spread your legs in Upavishta Konasana. Widen the legs apart. Sit straight. Sit tall. Keep your palms near the side of your hips. And raise yourself up. Raise yourself up. Widen the legs as much as you can. And now raise your seat up and move your buttock forward. So in Upavishta, learn to lift your seat up, move the buttock forward and come forward to sit. Sit like that. Once again, come on, hands near the buttocks, raise your seat and move forward in Upavishta Konasana. Widening the legs, spreading the legs apart, groins open. So from the groin area, from the pelvic area, let that opening come. Then the legs will automatically spread more. Yes, be in that manner. Once again, the palms near the hip. Once again, take the palms near the hip. Ready? You're going to raise your seat up and you're going to come forward. Come on. Raise your seat up and come forward and sit down. Widen the inner groins. Third attempt. Ready? Third attempt. Come on, raise your seat and move your groins forward, buttock forward and find your new place, find your new seat. Yes. Gradually, you have to open up that hamstring. Right leg to the right, left leg to the left. Okay. Now release the legs. Shirshasana. Shirshasana. Those who will not do Shirshasana, yes, immediate question. Who knows today with all this shoulder opening, clavicle opening, maybe Shirshasana will come. Periods, of course, you should not do Shirshasana. You go for now, periods were already doing supine. You are not participating in the class. Supine over, then you can do some Viparita Dandasana on the chair. Suptapada Angushtasana 2 also over. Yes, that also, it is lying down on your back. Correct. So you can do that. You can go for Viparita Dandasana. When they go for Sarvangasana, you go for your Setubandha Sarvangasana. Simple. Okay, those who have ropes, etc., be on the ropes. Legs together. Those who need the wall, go to the wall. Forearms firm. Shoulder, trapezium up. Create a lot of space there. Because you did standing poses, making the shoulder, trapezium to sit down towards the buttock, no? So that action has to come here. Let that go up. Shoulder blade, up to the leg side. That has to be clear. Maintain that good height from the sides of the trunk. From the armpit region to the legs, elongate completely. As the outer legs go up, the inner leg has to challenge that. Inner leg has to challenge that to go higher than the outer leg. First, outer body. First, outer body. When you extend, the inner one has to challenge. That's why that separate the legs a little apart. Spread the legs a little apart. And from the inner groin to the heels, as you did in Upavishta Konasana, lengthen that. Yes, lengthen that. And then join the legs, bring them together. Make use of that freedom. Make use of that freedom, that lift which has come up towards the heels. Maintain that firmness. Maintain that firmness in Shirshasana. When joining the legs, once again, spread the legs apart. When joining the legs shorten, the inner leg shorten. Do not allow that inner leg to shorten. You have to become tall to join the legs. Becoming tall, join the legs. All the four corners of the knees, tight. All the four corners of the knees, make them tight. Knees are bulging. If the knees are bulging, that means you need a tremendous extension at the back of the legs. The kneecap, when it is projecting forward, the middle of the knee, it has to go back. The back of the knees has to tremendously open. Press it back. You have to tuck the kneecap deeper into the body of the leg, body of the knee. Normally, you let loose your back of the legs, and that's why your knees project forward. Keep your inner heels up. The shortening begins to come there at the inner heels. You have to open that inner hinge, inner heel completely upward. That's why the metatarsal has to rotate outside in, and the inner heels have to go upward, legs firm, not to puff the abdomen, stabilize yourself. The eyes, keep an eye level. Don't look downwards. Don't dig your eyes towards the floor. Don't dig your eyes towards the floor, I said. Then you come to the front of the crown. If the eyes look too much towards the ceiling, if the head moves. There has to be, what about the groin? The clarity at the inner edge of the groin. When you're joining the legs, that center inner groin has to be well defined over there. You have to cut it inside in order to lift the legs upward. Center inner groin, you have to cut it into the body. That's why often the bricks are kept between the thighs there, so that you get the definition of the groin. If I put the rope and pull the groins downwards, against that groin downward pull, your leg should ascend upward. So it has to cut into the body for the legs to get extended upwards. Be there in Shirshasana. Don't come down. Be there. Shoulders, shoulder blades. Come on, lift them up. Today, it has been taught. You have to learn that. 3-4 times, learn to kick that shoulder blade. Shoulder blade up towards the legs. Now it's a topsy-turvy position. When standing, you move top shoulder blade down. Now you're topsy-turvy, but direction is top shoulder blade towards the bottom shoulder blade. Don't get confused there. So forearms firmly press. Press the forearms firmly on the ground so that the upper arm can be well lifted. Be there in Shirshasana. Don't move your legs here and there. Ladies in periods, I already told you, you have to be in Viparita Dandasana. Simple it is. Why you get confused? And in Viparita Dandasana, can't you work on the legs, inner legs, groins that I am teaching? Unnecessarily you complicate. Be there. Few more seconds remain. Be there. Before you come down, recharge your entire inner leg area. Extend upward. Cut in the hips and elongate the inner legs upward. Now how to come down? Shoulders up. Shoulder blades up. Upper arms should not fall. Okay. Exhale and slowly come down. Adho Mukha Virasana. Just be there in Adho Mukha Virasana. Brick Setubandha Sarvangasana. Come up, get a brick for Brick Setubandha Sarvangasana. Go. I will wait. Go bring the brick. Back pain, put your feet higher up. Legs on the wall, feet on the wall, legs on the height. That's all been taught. Come on. Quick. Don't have too many things for the head unnecessarily. And now work the tailbone region, sacrum region, let it go into the body. Do not join your legs at this moment. Adjusting the brick for the sacrum properly, legs keep them a little bit apart so that you open the sacrum region. Take your hands towards the leg side. Again, re-roll your shoulders. Re-roll your shoulder bones back. Re-roll your armpit chest from back to the front. Extend the arms back towards the leg side. Press the shoulder bones downwards with the shoulder blades in. Back ribs, back chest, back trunk. Go on lifting upward. Go on lifting that back rib area. Open up the chest. Utsla. झोपू नका तिकडे. And I already told you, legs apart so that your buttocks near the tailbone, that shouldn't get caught. Toes up, heels extended. Elongate. Elongate the hinges. And then again here also, learn to maintain that firmness of your legs. Learn to have that firmness of the legs. Keep your toes upward. From the bottom of the feet, the pumping of the leg action should be into the socket. So the legs are, yes, they are straightened that way, but you have to learn to pull the legs into the socket so that you get a good length of the outer leg. So after lengthening that leg, reverse is the process. After lengthening the leg, reverse is the process to receive the legs into the socket. And that's the most difficult one, because otherwise you just lie down on that prop, letting loose yourself. Whereas you have to see that your head of the femur bone is received into the socket. Shoulder bones rolling back, but chest coming forward. The pumping action from the feet has to happen in that manner. The pumping action from the feet has to happen in that manner that the legs are received into the socket. Otherwise, normally what you do, your stretch is towards the leg and you just pull your whole body towards the leg. That's not the way. That is not the way to extend. So head of the femur bone into the socket. Flow of energy, circulation of energy you have to understand. Not only the posture, the outer structure of the posture. Not only that, but the inner flow of the energy you have to know. So the leg should be received. Learn to receive the legs into the socket. Pull it this way. If you've understood what I said, then walk in with your feet. Bend your knees. Raise the buttock upward. Move the brick away. Wait, before coming down. Holding the ankle once, pump the buttocks up. Before coming down, bending the legs, holding the ankles, pump your whole body upwards. Lift your whole body upwards. Shoulder bones back, open up your chest, open up your back ribs and hold your ankles firm and get a good height. Get a good height, not just touching the ankles, but holding the ankles firmly. Okay. Come down. Arrange for Sarvangasana. Arrange for Sarvangasana. What height you need, you take. Ladies in periods can go for that, bolster Setubandha Sarvangasana. Menstruation, bolster Setubandha, of course. And those who won't do independent, you can go on the chair. Chair not possible. If chair Sarvangasana is also not possible, if you don't have a chair, etc., you go on the bolster for Setubandha. What to do? Quick, quick, quick. Raise your chest upward. Palms going into the back. See that you get a good sternum length. Sides of the chest, they have to go up. Move the outer elbows in. You know, even after going to Sarvangasana, you can go down to Halasana. Come down to Halasana. And you can tighten your elbow, tighten your belt further for those elbows to come inward. That makes your outer elbows to roll in. Don't have that looseness over there. Even if it is a short time of Sarvangasana, you have to see to it that the elbows rotate inward. You invite neck pain. By keeping the elbows loose, you invite neck pain. Knees firm. You all know, no? You already know that you don't want to bear the pain which comes while doing Sarvangasana. But the moment your shoulders are there and your elbows come in, when you come down from the pose, you are going to complain of pain. So come on, move the elbow in. Then you will feel the relief coming after you come down from the pose. Don't worry. Don't calculate that future. Just now, if it is paining, you want to loosen the belt. That is not the way. That is not the way. Go on ascending the body higher up. The rotation of the upper arms should be strong. Strong rotation of the upper arms. As far as the biceps are concerned, the upper arms have to turn. The biceps are facing the ceiling right now. They have to turn inside out and triceps outside in. Buttocks into the body. The height of the body should increase. The height of the body should increase. Near the shoulder, armpit, that area. Don't throw. Don't just throw the legs. The legs will go up. That's a different matter. But the palms should support in such a manner. Learn to support from the palms. From the floor, raising the back of the trunk, the frontal chest higher. That is important. So actually, you remain just on the shoulder bone and the back of the head. The rest of the things have to be higher. The arms, of course, should be down. But what you do to keep the arms down, shoulder down, back of the head, the whole body you sink down. Don't allow that to happen. You have to challenge yourself that how I will lift my entire body upwards. The torso height has to increase. Buttocks into the body. From the floating rib to the pelvic area, have that inner ascendance. Floating rib to the pelvic at the front. Bottom rib region and pelvic region at the front, ascending. And at the back, from the top of the shoulder blade, you have to lift the entire back body upwards. Face quiet. Body actively ascending up, but learn to keep the face quiet. Frontal face receding towards the back of the head, while the entire trunk ascends upwards. Have a good lift at the sternum chest to have a chin lock. Not to bring the chin into the sternum. Don't bring the chin to the sternum, but lift your body up so much that your sternum will go towards the chin to bring that chin lock. Then exhale and go to Halasana. Be in Halasana. Open the back of the knees, back of the thighs. In Halasana, open the back of the knees, back of the thighs. Your buttock rolling forward towards the heel in such a manner that your sacrum gets extended, not to drop the sacrum region. That's why the bottom of the tailbone end has to be slightly facing the leg side. That small lower back area, you have to learn to extend. Now, remove the belts. And take the arms over the head for a while. Stay there. Stay there. Legs straight, knees and thighs at the back of the thighs, open. The knees and thighs at the back, you have to learn to roll them from the inside to the outside. Then bend your knees, exhale, and slowly come down. Shavasana. Be in Shavasana. Lie down. There's no place, simple cross legs will do. But buttocks release downwards so that the waist does not shrink. Close your eyes completely. Close your eyes completely. Release the waistline, that should not get tucked upwards. Soften the knees. Keep your upper eyelids descending downwards. Upper eyelids descending downwards. The frontal forehead should not only be descending from the top to the bottom, but let it also recede downwards towards the floor. Just be there. With slow, soft exhalation, quieten that forehead region. Throat free from tension. The jaws free from tension. The tongue in a restful state. In that simple cross leg, from the pubic bone to the pelvic bone, you have to feel that wide spreading feeling there, from the pubis to the pelvis. But at the same time, from the base, the abdomen has to be received by the center of the abdomen. So buttock region away from the body, hips away from the body, not to puff the abdominal area. The small area of the back, lower spine, once again you have to feel getting the freedom, having that elongation. Soft, smooth exhalation. Keep both inhalation, exhalation should be normal, but the quietness has to be there. With that quietness, when it gets gradually lengthened, you need not worry about it. It's not a forceful exhalation or a forceful inhalation. Softness, absolute softness. Especially the senses of perception have to recede with that breath. From the crown towards the base of the brain, you have to feel the brain receding inside. That will make the sense of the perception to get further quietened. The eye is getting quietened inside. The eardrums getting released inside. The inner walls of the nostrils passive. Slow, soft, smooth breath. With the slow, soft, smooth breath, you have to feel the membranes of the nostrils getting quietened. They have to be in a receptive state. There should be no hardness felt in the nostrils. You feel sometimes that cool air going inside when the membranes are soft from inside. The brain, if it anywhere it has become hard, tight, you will find the gradual releasing when you work on the nostrils in this manner. The space on the nostrils will be so much that if any kind of tension in the brain, because you see, sometimes even action, movement, correction, so your practice of asanas, it does bring some kind of tension. So it's not a wrong tension. It's a positive tension in that case. But with a slow, soft exhalation, if you expel that breath through the nostrils, touching the areas of the membranes, you find your brain cells becoming soft and getting empty. The emptying process means becoming tensionless. So there is a great connection between the nostrils and the brain. Observe that. If your exhalation becomes soft and smooth, and from the brain, if it recedes, you find that wherever you're feeling the heaviness or wherever you have created the tension, that gets lessened. So observe that carefully. Just be there. I think that is enough for the day. Dear Geeta ji, 2 years have passed by. However, not a day goes by, Geeta ji, without thinking about you. You believed in us more than we believed in ourselves. Slowly open your eyes. Turn to the right side. That is the end of the class. That is the end of the session. That's it. Nothing more needs to be said. Thank you.
Thank you.
There were close to 3,000 people in this celebration. I thank all of you for being a part of this event. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, now I'm just waiting because thank you. The message that was posted with the details of the recording has gone up the window, the chat window. Thank you. So if you can if you will, I get your sentiments. It was a pleasure for all of us, for the family, for the teaching staff of this institute to be a part of this event. Thank you on behalf of them also. Now, if you can, there are a lot of messages coming by. I'm just waiting. He's going to post it again. He's going to post the recording details once again. So if you can just wait. Yeah, if you will. Okay, wait for a minute. Those of you who have not yet received the details can wait. The others, there's nothing no more announcements. Yeah, so it's come again. I request you to not type anything on the chat window now. If you just scroll up a few messages, you can see the message from Kunal. Thank you. It was absolutely our pleasure to do this for the entire community. Yes, the teachers are reading your messages as their panelists. They are getting your thank yous. Okay, shall I end the meeting now? Yes, we are also missing all of you. The institute is missing all of you. Thank you. Thank you.